Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the weekly reading with Titania. We're going to try something new today. I have my friend Kamryn here, and we're going to do a reading on the topic of social justice and what we need collectively to know about this at this time. I'm really excited to do this. This is something new, and I'm hoping you guys will all just roll with it with us. We're coming to you from the unceded lands of the Squamish First Nations. And of course, we're going to start with an intention prayer. So if you all want to just take a few deep breaths and envision a root coming out of the base of your spine, grounding you deep into Mother Earth. This root becomes a channel for anything that no longer serves you to effortlessly pass down into the earth to become compost for new growth. Creator, this is your daughter, Titania, and I'm here with your daughter, Kamryn, and we are about to do a reading for the highest and greatest benefit of ourselves, of anyone listening to this recording, and for us collectively as we all touch each other as we move through life. My intention is to be a clear channel for the information that we most need to receive right now, and to provide that in a manner that we will easily and effortlessly hear, understand, and integrate for our highest and greatest benefit and the benefit of anyone whose life we touch. I'd like to invite my higher self, Kamryn's higher self, and the higher selves of all those who are listening now and in the future to be present and facilitate this exchange and ensure that it happens in the highest and best way possible for the highest and greatest good of all concerned. I'd now like to invite the four archangels to come and hold the four directions around us, creating a sacred container of light, of love, of wisdom, of clarity, of peace, of healing, of listening, and of anything else that is in our deep hearts and minds around this idea of healing and reconciliation and wisdom and social justice and the transformation that we're all standing in the midst of, and how do we become forces for that change in a good way for each other. Anything that doesn't match these frequencies is welcome to go now. We set the tone for the highest and best, for light, for love, for wisdom, all those things I've said already. Let's get going. Okay. And we have cards jumping out already. Okay, so what I'm going to do is just sort of start with a general reading. Right, move up a bit. And we'll just sort of look at the energies of where we are, where we're coming from, and then we'll get into more specifics. And let's see. Kamryn's here to facilitate the exchange and ask the big questions.
No pressure, though.
And there is no pressure. Okay, so let's get going. I'm sure a lot will come out here just in this first round. So, what do we need to know about social justice collectively for our highest and greatest good? And we're doing past, present, future, and the foundation card. And we're going to just start there, and then we'll get into more. So the recent past influences waning, continues into the present, into the future. The card is Judgment. And Judgment is a big card. It's a big information. Funny, that's a funny way of saying it. But Judgment is about reaching up. So we look at this, it's a major arcana. It's the second to last card of the major arcana. And of course, as you all know who've been listening, major arcanas are cards you pay attention to because they have to do with our soul growth and our reason for being here on the planet. And so recent past, we're coming from this space of judgment. And the lower interpretation of judgment is making other people wrong. You know, we've decided, we've made a judgment on something, and if others don't measure up, we make them wrong for not measuring up. And so, of course, that isn't a helpful perspective. And so if we transcend it, if we reach higher into the higher levels and ask for how we can use this in a more helpful and practical way, this gift of discernment that we have, it is the word discernment. It is about looking at things from a broader perspective, looking at things from a manner where we look out at life and we discern what is appropriate for us. It's not about making other people wrong. It's about understanding that that gift of discerning is for us to use in our own experience, for us to clarify what is for us, what is appropriate for us, and what is not appropriate for us. And so as we come from this space of recent past, the influence is waning, but it continues into the present and into the future. This idea of how do we transcend from this space of judgment, of making each other wrong, and of holding each other back from our growth, into rather coming from a resourceful and resilient space of determining within ourselves if something is appropriate for us or not, and then standing in that wisdom, standing in that understanding, and knowing that we can reach up through layers for something higher, and we can actualize that higher part of ourselves and express it more fully. Okay, the present card, where we're standing right now, indecision. So it's so interesting because, of course, you see this character is standing very still, and you have the ray coming down from the top, and that could be a sword or it could be a ray of light, depends on you how you want to interpret it. But this person is immobilized. They can't move. They're stuck. They don't know how to move forward. And I think collectively, you know, this is part of the conversation Kamryn and I were already having this morning, is that in terms of social justice, so many of us know in our hearts what's more, what's better, what we want and how we want life to go. And we just don't know how to get there. How do we act as bridges and conduits and build bridges of healing and reconciliation and love and help to move this world forward in the direction that we want it to go in, where there's kindness and justice for all, and we all see each other as equals and respect each other and hold space for each other to heal from the atrocities we've inflicted on each other. I mean, it's a big thing. And I think so many of us are stuck in our fear of saying the wrong thing, of doing the wrong thing, because of our conditioning of where we've come from. And so I think collectively, so many of us find ourselves in this place. And happily, there are many, many people who are holding space for us, who are helping us to become allies, to support each other in transcending the differences and moving through our fear of making things worse through our ignorance and through our lack of understanding, and who are helping us. Sort of this ray coming down from the top is this enlightenment that's coming down to us, understanding that we are all one, and we need to treat each other with love and kindness and respect and tolerance and understanding, and talk about forgiveness and talk about healing and talk about pain and suffering. I mean, it's hard work, this world, you know, this path forward. It can be challenging, but I know in my own heart and in the hearts of so many that I work with, this is here for us. We know this is up right now, and it's what we want to see. Again, it's part of this picture of the world we know is possible in our hearts, but you know, how do we move forward? So this is our present energy, this sort of energy of indecision and feeling stopped and not knowing how to proceed. Near future, another major arcana. So, you know, this is up. When you get, you know, a few major arcanas in a reading, you just know that this is part of something more, something bigger than just our small selves. And so this energy right now with the moon in the near future, and the moon is about evolution. The moon is about becoming more. It's about rising above our ignorance and our uncertainty, and about reaching for the truth, even though it's hard. So in the story, we have this young girl, and she's out in the dark with her dog, and she's afraid of the dark. The dark is a scary thing for her. And the moon is sad because the moon is her friend, and it's shedding a tear, but it's lighting her way to shelter and care and support so that she can be safe and secure. So the moon, even though we are moving through a time of darkness and it is challenging and we're afraid, what's true is the light is there if we look for it. And we are moving towards greater comfort and support and love and understanding for all of us. There is this way forward that's being shown us, but the way is dark still. Like it's like being in the night, and we're waiting for the light of the moon to light our paths. And what I love is that there are those who are holding the light for us. There are those who know the way forward, and indeed within ourselves, in our hearts, we know the way forward, and really giving over to that wisdom, that inner wisdom that shows us that we are all one and that we are all on this journey together. So this is the future. This is us. It's still going to be a process. We still have work to do, but we're on our journey, and the path is being lit for us, and we will make our way through and find this space for harmony and love and kindness and tolerance for everybody. I mean, this is this is what we're here to do, is to be in community and to each of us shine our gifts in a beautiful and wonderful way and contribute meaningfully. But so long as we're held back by these limitations of race and gender and perceived differences, it's really, really challenging for us to show up fully. We're missing out on a huge segment of our population and the contributions that they're here to make from their heart, with all their heart and soul and being. And so clearing away the layers of pain and suffering and difference and hurt, I mean, it's going to take a lot, but I really feel that we are all up for it, and it is part of where we're moving towards. And so this card tells me that, obviously we're not there yet, and there's a lot of growth to happen, a lot of evolving to happen, but that there is support for us, and we will make it through, and we will achieve this, because again, it is what's in our heart. It is what is appropriate for us at this time and what we know to be true. Okay, the foundation of the reading is why we're having this reading. What is this reading about? Here we have the Emperor, so the third major arcana. And the Emperor is, you see this guy, I mean, he sits at the base of the mountain. He's very solid and very grounded and very wise. And he looks out over his dominion and sees the resources and sees the people and sees the opportunities and puts people together. But it's always from the highest and greatest good. It's always from this place of everyone being taken care of, and everyone being actualized and seen, and everyone moving together towards creating a society where everything is for the greater good. The Emperor is very, very stable. The reason why, this is sitting in the position of the foundation of the reading, why we're having the reading. And again, to me, this speaks to this vision of what is possible for us collectively, where we can go with it. And what's interesting to me about this card is my perception of this growth and this work that we need to do is very much informed by the feminine, or the qualities of the feminine, which is the collaboration and the feeling the way and the intuition. But this is a very patriarchal card. Well, patriarchal, not wrong word, masculine card. It's very much that very masculine. It's sort of the epitome of the masculine energy of process, of being reasonable and rational and practical. There's even a warrior element to it. In other decks, you see the Emperor dressed in armor and representing the energy of Mars. So this quality of fighting for what is right. And so this energy of the masculine, because we have the masculine and the feminine, and they each have qualities and roles that they play, but it's this sort of actualized, energetic, making things happen energy, the masculine energy. It's not so passive. This is about intentional. This is about doing this work. This is about stepping out. This is about doing the processes, creating the opportunities, creating the openings for this work to happen, for this healing to happen in. And it is very much, despite the fact that, there is all this feminine quality of energy behind it, there's very much this, as I said, this intentional, directed, willing energy that is behind our capacity to move towards more of these solutions in our lives and more of these transcending the differences. But it's about will and intention and wanting and doing. So this is the foundation card. This is why we're having this reading, is this will is present within us, this longing, this we know what needs to happen. We know in our hearts what's appropriate. We know in our hearts what we're being called towards. It's just we're stopped by our lack of skills, our lack of knowledge, our fear of doing the wrong thing, our fear of misunderstanding. We know in our hearts, we are discerning. We understand what is most appropriate and what it is that we're being called towards. We just don't know how to put it into practice. And here is the light. Others are holding the light. We're holding the light. We just have to access that inner wisdom, that understanding that we are moving towards solutions. Did you want to jump in here at any point, Kamryn? Do you have any thoughts about the reading at this point? And
I mean, you've said it so well. I don't know if I could say anything that's more comprehensive or detailed than what you said, but I think it's really interesting how the cards are kind of telling this story of where we're at. And for me, the moon is very optimistic. Like, yeah, it might be shedding a tear, but like that being is also smiling and like looking off into the distance. Like, I see this as very optimistic. And even though I have a different connotation with the moon as like a tarot card of kind of the maybe the dark time of the soul or lots of introspection, but this card is very it's that moon looks very optimistic, and it's very hopeful for me as far as the conversation that we were having earlier around creative imagination and thinking about innovative ways to move forward collectively. And even though it's hard and difficult and painful, it's there's a whole realm of possibility. So
definitely, yeah. And yes, it's going to take some dark night of the soul. It is going to take some of that going within and looking at ourselves and healing ourselves and the parts of us that are separate. You know, I think that definitely is part still of, you know, as you say, the traditional interpretation of the moon. And yet, even though the way forward may be challenging at times, we are up for it. We are wanting to do this work. It is time for us to do this work, for us collectively to evolve. And yes, it will be difficult and dark at times, but, you know, the other side of that, the vision of the possibility, all of us being able to coexist on this beautiful planet in a way where we're each seen and valued and held and supported in achieving our best and giving our gifts in a way that as an act of love to each other and to the planet, and this wonderful future that I see forward for us as we come at life from this desire to heal the rifts, to heal the hurt, to heal the harm, and move forward as the one collective that we know that we are in our hearts, that we are all, you know, brother and sister, and more than that. It's so important, and it's a lot of words, but I do feel that is what we're moving towards, and the possibility space is. And so, you know, as we find ourselves stopped and not sure how to move forward or how to do this good work, you know, if it's in your heart, you will find that the answers will come. And there are wonderful, wonderful people helping us to understand. I don't know, I don't even know the language around it, but, you know, you had given me an example earlier about somebody who helps to inform about what the issues are and give us language, even because even a lack of vocabulary stops us from being able to talk about it.
Totally.
Do you want to give the name of the woman or the channel that you were recommending to me as one place for people to start?
There's the series that MTV, people has done around decoding some of these issues. It's called MTV Decoded. And the woman who kind of started it, her name is Franchesca Lee. And she kind of just talks about questions that people have around race and class and gender, and just explaining, okay, so this thing has been in pop culture and the media. Why are people upset about this? What's kind of the context of this? And giving people a little bit of education around just these issues that are becoming a little bit more mainstream.
Okay. Yeah. So that would be one place where folks could start to look at this and unpack it. And you might be more advanced than that. Wicked. And if you have resources, I guess that's the other thing that I'll just say here. If you have found resources that you found helpful, if you could put them in the comments underneath, that would be so great, because then we can share together tools that we found helpful for bridging the gap, for healing the divide and the distance, and helping us to be allies in terms of transforming our culture. You know, really taking it on, embracing the warrior for what is appropriate and right and true and fair and in the highest and best interest of all on this beautiful planet. There's a lot here.
I'll mention one other woman if people are interested in kind of doing like a longer program. Those videos are very, they're very short, sweet, easy and accessible for people to kind of get a good taste. But if people are interested in doing more work and really going in deep, Layla F. Said has put together a course. She has a couple of different books and a course called White Supremacy and Me.
Okay.
And it is work. It is emotional. You know, it's time investment. It's an emotional investment. It's a spiritual investment. But it's really rich and really nourishing. And I've done a lot of it. Like, I don't identify as white, but I have a lot of privilege because of the lightness of my skin and my class. And so she has, you know, she talks about that stuff, and she has made it into a very accessible course. It's very easy to understand, to do this work of like, okay, how does this concept of white supremacy impact my life? How does it impact my relationships? What is my power in relation to white supremacy? And but it's accessible, and it's understandable, but it's not easy, you know.
Yeah.
But she's done a really, like, the course is very intelligently laid out, and it's better to do it, you know, it's one of those things that you want to do in community.
Okay.
You know, so I know there's a lot of groups in Kingston that are doing it where I'm from, and it's been really cool to kind of see people get into that stuff.
It's amazing, isn't it? I think the power behind the intention of transforming our consciousness individually and collectively, and how, you know, what a gift it is that we give to each other when we're prepared to do this work. You know, it's profound. It really is profound, and we are changing the world when we change ourselves. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take that information and put that in the I don't know, the description underneath, so that if you guys want to find that information, it's easy for you to go there. Thank you, Kamryn. So good. Okay, so I'm just going to pull a couple more cards on this spread, because there's how we need to conduct ourselves, how others are going to be, and sort of the general outcome, which we can just add to this. And then, did you want to go into anything more specific? Was there something you wanted to explore?
No, I think I'm curious to see the other cards.
Okay, let's do those. So how we need to conduct ourselves, how others are going to be, and then the outcome card. So how we need to conduct ourselves. Oh, this is a good one. Okay, Force. This card has been coming up so much this week. It's fascinating. And if it comes up as our card to grow on, I will laugh. Okay, so how we need to conduct ourselves. So the Ace of Swords, and this is, aces are the beginnings of a suit. So they're like the kernel that holds the potential for all of the magnificence that comes behind it. And this card, the name of it, of course, is Force, as I've written so nicely here on the bottom. And this card, whenever I see it, I always think of, because I'm a gardener, standing in front of a shrub that's grown unruly and has been neglected for a very, very long time. And that shrub needs my help. I need to go in and remove the dead, disease, the crossing branches, open up the center of the plant so air can circulate and light can get in so the plant can thrive. And so this is sitting in the position of how we need to conduct ourselves. And so I'm going to apply that analogy of pruning to us. Where are we dead, diseased, crossing, needing air circulation and light? And this certainly applies to this topic of social justice, and how do we transform ourselves so that we can be clearer vessels for relationship, for light, for love, for kindness on the planet. And it starts with us. It does start with us. And so, speaking to some of those resources that Kamryn has mentioned and shared with us, you know, where can we prune ourselves to be better versions of ourselves so that we can contribute to this greater conversation and this greater healing that's happening on the planet? How can we be the change that we want to see in the world? How can we help ourselves to be better and more than we were, to apply discernment and to be, again, that source of light, of love, of kindness, of respect, of tolerance, of compassion, and a stand and a space holder for that, as we see here with this energy of the Emperor. It's a very interesting card.
Yeah, it's very, I see this, I like my intuitive kind of reading of this card is like very clear intention, like just being solid and grounded and super focused and just walking with that very deliberate power. Yeah, very deliberate, very powerful intention.
Lovely. Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah. Holding that in our hearts as we move forward. Because it's true, when we hold an intention, that's how we pull energy towards it. You know, where attention goes, energy flows. And so if we truly want to be an ally, if we truly want to be part of the solution, if we truly want to, and you know, I get it. It's not everybody who's called to go to the front lines to be a major protester. However, simply by being open to changing our perception, to understanding the conditioning that we've been part of and that we're perpetuating through our ignorance, we help to change this whole system. We help to shift us to a kinder place where we understand what the issues are from a broader perspective, and we can be a stand for that clearing, even if we aren't prepared to start running down and being on the front lines of major protests. We can be that change in our lives, in our relationships with each and every person that we meet. And again, I love that deliberate, focused intention of really bringing that into our decision to be on this planet and how we're going to move through the world and in our lives. That's awesome. Thank you. How others are going to be. That's a really good one too. Ace of Hearts, love. So it's this kernel of new beginnings. Oh, and this is the sense that I get. This is when I just tune into the energy on this planet. This really is the core of who we are. This really is the root of all of us. We are all one being, you know, from this source of love. That is who we are. And we've been held in this place because we don't know how to heal the wounds. We don't know how to make it better. We're just stopped. The narratives that we've been given make us feel helpless and hopeless. And what's true is we don't have to be stopped there. There are so many wonderful people holding understanding and wisdom and pieces so that we can heal our own ignorance and our own suffering. Whoever we are, wherever we come from, we've all experienced pain and suffering. And through healing that piece, we have greater compassion for ourselves, we have greater compassion for each other, and we can hold this even more when we understand that we're all coming from the same place. We're all human. We're all having this human experience together. And so I love so much this card is singing in the position of others, because we are all others to each other. And how we can be for each other is holding this intention for love, to be a greater source of love, to hold love and light as we go and mill about in life. If we're coming at life from this place of love, anything is possible. We can heal anything, and we can support each other into our healing, into this greater world that is possible and we know is in our hearts. You got thoughts about that one?
Yeah, well, I think it's important to recognize that people who are on the front lines, who, when you read the news or you see videos of protests and you're like, oh, those people are really angry. They're coming from this place. Like, this is exactly where they are, of the love, but the love, they love each other so much. They love their communities and they love the people who've been hurt so much that they want to see a just world for them. And it's unacceptable, the level of violence that we're struggling with. And so I think it's really important to recognize that, like, when you're in this place of indecision, that you're trying to move to this place of love, and the people that you're trying to work with or be in allyship with, this is what they'll meet you with. Like, if you really, are trying and you're doing the work and you're divesting, your privilege and your power, then the result is love. Like, I feel very loved and very supported in my community because even though I struggle with indecision all the time, and doing the right thing and being perfect, but I, because I'm trying, I get so much love, and it's, I think it from the outside, it looks like a really angry movement, just these fights for social justice, Black Lives Matter, I don't know more, like, they seem like really angry in the way that they're portrayed in the media, but like, we're not. We're actually we're really loving people, and we do want people to try and to care and to have that intention, and we'll give you the love, like,
and the tools.
Will. Yeah, we will, for sure.
Because, as you say, it's all motivated from love for your fellow human being, and no more suffering. Enough. Like the idle no more movement. Like, enough. There's enough of this. This is craziness. So Yeah, that is so good. Thank you.
Thank you.
Ah, the outcome. Oh, this is another good one. This is such a great reading. Oh my goodness. Success, 10 of Hearts. This is community. This is celebration. This is the coming together and celebrating, celebrating the progress we're making, celebrating our diversity, celebrating how our differences are sources of strength and beauty and love, and how those differences make us stronger. This idea that we can come together and we are moving forward, and we are moving towards this space of supporting each other and loving each other, living in community. And yes, it's going to be hard. You know, I don't want anybody to get the idea that, you know, I'm painting a hyper rosy picture, but I do tend to see the bigger picture. That's my job. And the outcome, what we're moving towards with this intention, social justice, and all of these pieces where we want to show each other how much we matter and how important we all are to our collective well-being and our collective happiness and the forward movement of life on this planet. This is all super important. And I love this card so much because it's reminding us that we need to celebrate. We need to celebrate, even if it's a small victory. We need to come together and recognize that we are, even though it may seem like we're not moving very far, very fast, we have to remember that there is so much growth happening in individuals and in communities that's not being reported in the media. And that there is this impetus, this awareness of no more, and this willingness to open our hearts and to change that is happening, that is moving us forward into a new future. So don't give up hope. Celebrate the good that you see, and all those good people who are on the front lines, who are speaking up or are holding space, you know, from that motivation of love and let's take care of each other. It's a pretty amazing space. And it's a pretty amazing time that we're living in. And it's hard and it's challenging and we got lots of work to do. And it's awesome. And it's so heartening to see the good.
Yeah, I think that's awesome. I like that, you know, thinking about, this is all very big picture.
Yes.
But I think that I constantly have to remind myself to celebrate those little successes, the little wins. You know, if you have like a potluck gathering with like-minded people, and you get to learn from each other, and, you know, conversations that we've been having, and you know, if you get a policy passed, or you get, you know, some budget line dedicated to social justice, you know, it's something you have to celebrate those successes, because that's kind of like, I see this celebrating those little successes as like the key to making that creative imagination possible, to make it feel real, and to actually see, you know, like to be able to see that from where you are. Like if that card wasn't there, you know, the moon is just kind of looking off into anything, like any kind of possibility. But then it's like, oh yeah, like when we get these little successes and we get these wins, it's validating to show us, right, this is the direction that we want to move in. This is what we want, you know? So
what we're aiming for, community.
Community, respect, justice, you know, a healthy planet, you know. But those little things, like celebrating the amazing work that people do every day, and celebrating the little changes and tweaks that we get to make. And
it's interesting because this card comes off often when we're doing the readings for the collective, you know, looking at our collective energy. But this idea we keep coming back to: celebrate the successes, the small things, allow ourselves to be in that state of appreciation and gratitude, and reverence and wonder, even for the beauty of us and the potential that we have when we come together. It's really quite lovely.
I love that.
So it's good.
Yeah, I have a daily gratitude practice, and it's really changed a lot of my perspective. You know, it just like, yeah, of course. There's like, and then I have this tiny little box, like I do it in a calendar. And so I have this tiny little box, and then I'm like writing into the margins of all the other things that I'm grateful for, you know? There's like such an abundance of things to be grateful for.
Totally. And when we start and we open that window in our perception to look for the appreciation and the gratitude, it's overwhelming, isn't it? The abundance, as you say. There's we are surrounded by grace. We are surrounded by by all these things. We just have to look for it. It's all
Yes.
about where we put our attention, and having a gratitude practice, so that, you know, an example of that would be at the end of the day, just taking a moment to think about 3 things you appreciate from your day, be that people or gestures or events or things that you just feel grateful for. And it's such a beautiful way to end your day, to close your day on that high note of very high energy. And that brings us into a high state for when we go to sleep, and we renew ourselves, we renew our bodies when we sleep, we heal when we sleep. And so initiating that phase of recovery in our field from a place of appreciation and gratitude is so profound, it can't be expressed truly, I think. And so that's one example, for instance, of a gratitude practice that anyone can easily implement in their sphere and yeah, benefit from. Thank you. That's wicked. Do you want to say anything else about this? Do you have any? Do you want to pull any other cards, or are you feeling like this is good?
I feel like this is good. It's also really validating for me just in my life, you know, like I think this is like, I just remember this, you know, it's like, right, you know, the intention is so powerful. Like it's literally, it's a direct line from source through you into the world, you know, and I'm like, right, you know, it's just such a good reminder that
How powerful that is.
so powerful.
Yeah, when we live with intention and we line ourselves up, and it's so good.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's awesome. So glad you're in the world doing your work.
Oh, thanks, Titania. Ditto. Ditto.
Okay, we're having 11. All right, so if we're feeling complete with this, then what I'm going to do is complete this, and then we'll just pull our card for the week, the card to grow on. I would love it if that force card came up, or love came up. That would be so fun. So let's just see what happens. Surprise and delight us, universe.
Can I ask a question about the structure? Would that be appropriate right now?
What do you mean?
So is that a variation on the Celtic cross, or is okay, cool. I like it. It's concise.
I do too. That's why I use it. Yeah. Okay. So, what do we need to know for the week ahead? What is our card to grow on this week? Here we are. All right. What are the chances of that, everybody? How hilarious is that? Okay. Strong messages from the universe today, huh? Yeah. Oh my God, that's so good.
That's crazy.
So
that's crazy.
I love this work. So we know about this card. We've just discussed it. It's about really applying your intention, your will, your focus, really paying attention to where you're putting your energy, because we have huge power at our disposal. We may be humans, but we are spirit in human form. And remembering the energy that is behind us is really, really important. It's really important for all of us to recognize, not only in this case, the case of social justice and moving us forward personally and collectively in the right direction in that regard, but also in regard to the world that we want to create. And that's environmentally, that's creatively. I mean, there's just so many pieces. Okay, let me see. Continue to articulate this idea that when we collect ourselves and we give intention and we give focus and we point ourselves in a direction, as Kamryn so clearly pointed out, that idea of focusing our intention and attention, there is no end to the possibilities of what we can create. And so this is our card to grow on this week. This remembering how powerful we are and how we need to tap into this energy field that we are a part of, and use it in a good way to transform not only our direct life experience, but through that, the lives of everyone that we touch and the larger world too. You want to add to that?
Yeah, I think it's interesting because I'm a very kind of like go with the flow kind of person. I'm really like, you know, I'll just do whatever is up for my community right now, or, you know, what kind of work is given to me, I'll say yes to. But it's interesting, you know, I've been doing a lot of kind of like receiving of coaching and building intentions and actually being like, okay, what do I want for my life? You know, what Do I want to have a family or not? Do I want to, what do I want my creative practice to look like? What do I want work to look like? And setting those intentions and being very clear about that. And I think that it's in that process of understanding our lives, our desires, our needs, that we then understand how we can apply that to the world, and that there is a marriage between those things, that they're not mutually exclusive. Having a good life for yourself and maybe doing activism or getting informed about these things, they're very complementary, and you can find intentions that speak to that. You can find that place in the distance, this, that point, that very sharp point of that marriage, of, looking at the world and feeling disappointed and frustrated, and looking at your life and feeling disappointed and frustrated, and being like, okay, where do I want? I'm going to find that lighthouse that I'm, well, if you're on a boat, it's maybe a bad analogy, but the place that you're going towards, where you want to actually, you want to see these things complement each other, and have this really transformative life that, live the best life, right? You can actually get that.
Yes. And in the process, you're contributing to the greater good.
Totally. Yeah. And it's about that intention, right? It's about that visualization of being really clear about what it is that you want, and just constantly repeating that to yourself and constantly affirming that, yeah.
Beautiful.
It's very interesting.
I love it.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. The cards have spoken. Well, everybody, I want to wish you a beautiful week of focused, directed attention and intention, bringing in, if it feels appropriate for you, and I think it's up for so many of us, to bring in this intention of living more deliberately in a way that creates bridges, that creates healing, that creates opportunities for us to have more love and light on the planet, and to personally, through seeking this in our own lives, be a clearing for more, gosh, I'm like running out of words, but this idea of how do we heal our relationships with others, and how do we create a climate of fairness and kindness and love and respect and justice for everybody, valuing all lives. So yeah, this has been really good. Thank you so much, Kamryn.
Yeah, thank you. This was really generative.
I know. I'm thinking, oh, maybe we have to do
and
this
trippy.
again. Creator, thank you. Thank you for this opportunity to be of service, to do this work, and to be here with Kamryn. And I just ask that you help us to continue on this path of greater light and greater love, of holding more of the collective wisdom in our field, so that we can be generating more light and love on this planet within ourselves, and as a result, freeing others to do the same. So we all are clearings and space holders for more light, love, grace, peace, healing, and love on this planet, tolerance, understanding, justice. We all want this. This is what our hearts are calling us towards. And I just ask for help in being even more effective at this in the world, and transforming the world more quickly. Because gosh darn it, isn't it time? Okay. Have a wonderful week, everybody. Lots of love, lots of light. Take care. Thanks, Kamryn, for being here.
Yeah, bye everyone.